The Supernovas consist of 11 elite rookies whose combined bounty outclasses the legacy of Gol D himself. These fighters completely redefined the balance of power on the seas. To understand how they completely disrupted the New World, you have to look at exactly what each of these powerhouse captains brings to a battlefield. Roronoa Zoro. Let's start with Zoro. This guy is the ultimate proof that bounties don't tell the full story. Without a devil fruit to back him up, he relies entirely on swordsmanship and sheer willpower to crush opponents who wield godlike powers. His three-sword style looks wild on paper, but after training under Mihawk during the time skip, he turned it into pure devastation. He went from struggling against steel to casually slicing through armored pacifistas and cutting down Logia users with armament haki. But Zoro's strength isn't just about his blades, it's about his absurd loyalty. Back at Thriller Bark, with Luffy completely unconscious from exhaustion, Zoro willingly took on all of his captain's accumulated pain. Kuma explicitly warned him that the shockwave would kill him, but Zoro plunged his hands into the bubble anyway. When Sanji later found him standing in a literal pool of his own blood, barely holding on to life, he just muttered that nothing happened. That single moment defines his character perfectly. Killer. Like Zoro, Killer made it into the worst generation without a devil fruit or a captain title, which immediately sets him apart as one of the most dangerous fighters on the seas. He utilizes forearm-mounted, rotating scythe blades to deliver a fast and brutal fighting style capable of wounding opponents far above his bounty class. His story takes a tragic turn after being forced to consume a defective smile fruit by Orochi and the Beast Pirates. Instead of gaining animal powers, he was cursed with a permanent, uncontrollable laugh, a cruel fate for a man who hated his own laugh so much that he wore a signature mask to hide it. Stripped of his identity, he was forced to work as an assassin under the alias Kamazu the Massacre Soldier. While he eventually lost a fierce battle against Zoro and Wano, the fact that he could push a top-tier swordsman to his limits, while mentally broken, proves just how lethal he is. Jewelry Bonnie. Now let's talk about the only woman on this list, Jewelry Bonnie, captain of the Bonnie Pirates. Her power is one of the weirdest and most quietly terrifying in all of One Piece. She ate the Toshi Toshi no Mi, which lets her manipulate age, both her own and other people's. It is an unpredictable ability that leaves opponents completely defenseless, making her an incredibly dangerous captain. Her narrative depth centers heavily on her mysterious connection to Bartholomew Kuma. During the reverie, Bonnie risks everything by infiltrating Mary Jouets disguised as royalty, only to break down in tears upon seeing Kuma enslaved and brutalized by the Celestial Dragons. This intense emotional reaction confirmed a deep, personal bond between them, cementing her as a pivotal figure in the larger lore of the world government and the Revolutionary Army. Capone Gang Bege. Next up is Capone Bege, and out of everyone on this list, he might have the single most creative devil fruit power. He ate the Shiro Shiro no Mi, the Castle fruit, which lets him transform his entire body into a living, pocket-dimensional fortress. He can house a full army of subordinates inside himself, allowing them to launch surprise cavalry charges or fire full-sized cannon volleys directly out of his chest at point-blank range with zero warning. For heavier combat, he can even reshape his body into a massive, heavily armored walking fortress mecha. Beyond his raw fruit abilities, Bege operates with the ruthless efficiency of a true mafia boss. He boasts a near-perfect assassination record, relying on meticulous planning, deep deception, and layers of contingencies rather than raw physical strength. Even when his high-stakes plot to assassinate Big Mom fell apart, his tactical brilliance allowed him to pull off a miraculous escape with his entire crew intact, proving that strategy can be just as deadly as a top-tier bounty. Basil Hawkins. Now, things get a little spookier with Basil Hawkins, the magician and fortune-teller of the group. His Wara Wara no Mi, or Straw Straw Fruit, grants him an unsettling damage transfer ability. By storing straw voodoo dolls inside his body, any fatal blow he receives is redirected to someone else entirely, forcing his enemies to kill his subordinates or innocent hostages before they can even touch him. Hawkins guides every tactical decision using a deck of tarot cards that possess terrifyingly accurate predictive power. He relies so heavily on these mathematical odds that when faced with Kaido, he immediately surrendered after calculating a 0% chance of survival or escape. He is a fighter entirely devoid of reckless ambition or blind loyalty, operating purely on cold percentages, a a mindset that transforms him into a highly unpredictable wild card on the battlefield. If you've got a prediction what will happen with him next, now's the time to call it in the comments. Scratchman Appu. Scratchman Appu, the roar of the sea, wields a music-based devil fruit that transforms his limbs into instruments like piano keys and brass horns. By playing these musical anatomy parts, he unleashes destructive sound waves capable of slicing through flesh or triggering sudden, high-yield explosions at a distance. Beyond his combat style, Appu's true strength lies in his shameless survival instinct. He remorselessly betrayed his own alliance with Kid and Hawkins to defect to Kaido's forces, playing every side to his own advantage. Despite being easily overpowered in clashes against Marine admirals, his slippery nature and sheer opportunism have allowed him to survive encounters that would have killed almost any other pirate. Urouge. Next up, we got Urouge, the Mad Monk. Commands a high-risk, brute-force devil fruit ability that converts sustained physical damage directly into raw muscular strength. Known appropriately as karmic punishment, this power turns every enemy strike into fuel, causing him to grow physically larger and hit exponentially harder the more he is beaten. Despite entering the New World with the lowest bounty among the worst generation, Urouge shattered expectations by invading Whole Cake Island and single-handedly defeating one of Big Mom's 4 sweet commanders, a commander with a 600 million berry bounty. Though a second commander eventually overwhelmed him, Urouge successfully escaped with his life, proving that his low bounty is a massive underestimation of his actual lethality. X-Drake. X-Drake's whole deal is built on a double life, and it's genuinely one of the more clever character concepts in the series. On the surface, he's the captain of the Drake Pirates and one of the Flying Six, the strongest headliners under Kaido. But secretly, he's still working for the Marines as the captain of a top-secret special unit. He's playing both sides of this war at the same time, which is a fascinating parallel to the real historical Sir Francis Drake, who was considered a hero by England and a pirate by Spain. His devil fruit lets him transform into an Allosaurus, an ancient carnivorous dinosaur that could reach nearly 40 feet long, and he can also shift into a half-human, half-dinosaur hybrid form. In this form, he can bite through pacifistas, which, again, are made of material stronger than steel. He's also a skilled Haki user, having used it to take down a Logia user with relative ease. Drake is the kind of character where you genuinely don't know which side he'll land on when push comes to shove. Eustass Kid. Now we're getting into the heavy hitters. Eustass Kid's devil fruit, Jiki Jiki no Mi, is tied to magnetism. He commands the forces of magnetism, allowing him to attract and repel metal at will. He can weaponize the battlefield by deflecting incoming cannonballs, or assembling massive mechanical limbs from discarded swords, guns, and armor to crush his opponents. Beyond his destructive physical prowess, Kid is one of the incredibly rare fighters to possess Conqueror's Haki. His brutal journey includes surviving a devastating clash with Shanks' crew that cost him an arm, enduring imprisonment by Kaido, and ultimately forging an alliance to challenge the Emperors of the Sea. He represents pure, unyielding ambition, a pirate who constantly throws himself against impossible odds and refuses to stay down. Trafalgar D. Waterlaw. Trafalgar Law wields the Ope Ope no Mi, widely considered the ultimate devil fruit due to its reality-bending versatility. Inside his spherical room, Law acts as a master surgeon with absolute control over space, allowing him to teleport objects, discharge localized electrical shocks, and cleanly bisect entire warships without shedding a drop of blood. He initially used this medical genius to perform surgery on himself, successfully curing a terminal poisoning that was supposed to kill him in childhood. The fruit's most coveted ability is its power to grant another person eternal youth at the cost of the user's own life. Combined with his sharp swordsmanship and mastery of Haki, Law stands as one of the most brilliant and dangerous tacticians on the Grand Line. Monkey D. Luffy. And finally, the big one. Luffy's devil fruit, originally thought to be a simple rubber fruit, turned out to be the Hito Hito no Mi, Model Nika, one of the most mythical fruits in the entire series. He mastered this rubber physiology through his gear forms. Gear Second accelerates his blood flow for blinding speed, Gear Third inflates his bones for devastating giant-sized strikes, and Gear Fourth coats his compressed rubber body in armament Haki to create specialized forms like the defensive Tankman or the hyper-fast Snake Man. Beyond his versatile physical transformations, Luffy possesses advanced Conqueror's Haki, allowing him to dominate opponents and knock out massive armies through sheer willpower alone. His combat prowess was cemented when he toppled Katakuri, a sweet commander with a bounty exceeding 1 billion berries. Carrying the mysterious D initial in his name, a lineage historically recognized as the natural enemy of the gods, Luffy possesses both the lineage and the unstoppable momentum destined to reshape the entire world. And that's all 11 supernovas, 11 completely different power sets, and 11 completely different paths through this story. Who do you think actually wins if all of them threw down in a free-for-all? Drop your pick in the comments. Smash that, like if you want more breakdowns like this. And let me know who you want covered next.